yes, and you multi words and Monty Python now for something completely different. So my name is Jayne, just Jayne is fine, and I've not been doing comedy very long, but I became aware recently of a trend, and the trend is naked stand-up. And I thought, who in their right mind wants to get up in a room full of strangers, get naked, and encourage them to laugh at you? And I thought, I could do that. Now, the reason I say that is because I've spent most of my life getting naked in a room full of strangers. I've been an artist model since I was 18. When I first started, I was 95 pounds wet, and I was the pre-Raphaelite look. And then I moved into middle age, and I became the Rubenesque model. And I honestly didn't think I'd be doing it into my 60s, but now apparently I'm going to keep going till I look like Whistler's mother. And people often really, they're very curious about it. There's nothing sexy about it at all, quite boring. I'm like a still life, except in a still life, it's stiller than I am, and the melons are slightly larger. And I don't do this because I want to really be naked in a room full of people. It's just that I don't care if I am. And I think it's the difference between Europeans and Americans. I mean, you were founded by Puritans after all, so, but think about it, like Melania Trump, our First Lady, is proud of her nudie pics. Now, can you imagine Barbara Bush doing that? You'll never unsee that now, you'll never unsee that. But the first time that I noticed the difference between Americans and Europeans and their attitudes towards nudity was I was in Paris, and I was there for the first time with a boyfriend for a dirty weekend. And I was staying in a very cheap hotel. If you've ever stayed in a cheap hotel in Paris, you'll notice the beds are incredibly lumpy. It's like everyone who's ever slept in that bed is still in that bed with you. And I was getting ready, so I'm putting on garters and suspenders and stockings and all of this, because, it's Paris and you want to make an effort. And I had this feeling that I was being watched. And I looked, there was a courtyard, and I looked across the way, and I could see there was a curtain, and between the curtain was a row of heads, like some sort of pale-faced totem pole with acne. And I gave a little wave, and they all disappeared. And I found out a high school marching band was actually staying there. So after the deed is done, I was there for a dirty weekend, but I wasn't taking it literally, so I went to have a bath. And in cheap hotels, the bath is down the hall. So I go to the bathroom, and I have a lovely soak, and the window's open, the breeze is blowing, and I get this feeling again that somebody is watching me. And so I get out the bath, and I look out the window, and across the way is a naked Frenchman standing on the porch going, "Hey baby, where you from? Are you French?" Just let it all hang out there. Now, I once again noticed the difference when many years later I traveled with my husband, and we were in Greece with my stepdaughter, who was 11 at the time. And so we're in Mykonos, and we're planning to go to a beach, and we wanted to go to this beach called Paradise, because there used to be a water park there. We thought it was still there, it wasn't, sadly, but it had a good name. We thought, well, we'll go anyway. And so we're riding the local bus, and there was this elderly British couple who were locals and on the bus, and I thought, well, let me ask, because we had other options. And I said, well, would you recommend Paradise? And the woman sort of clutched her straw bag closer to herself, and she said, it's not really our sort of thing. Which begged a question which I did not ask. What I should have said, oh really, what? But I made an assumption, because the only other thing I knew about this beach was that it was gay friendly, and I thought, well, maybe they're not that friendly. We're friendly, so we'll go. So we decided to go. So we get off the bus and we're walking to the beach, and the first thing I see is this lovely pool, and all around the pool are queen-size beds with canopies and blowing, billowy curtains. And I thought, ruh-roh. So anyway, we decide to keep going, and we get to the beach, and I realized there's something else I didn't know about this beach, which was that it was a nude beach. Now, I've gone to nude beaches, and I've always kept my clothes on, and I've often wished that the nudists had followed my lead there. So we were dressed, and we get there, and there are men all over the beach. And now, it's not like my 11-year-old had never seen a naked man before, because in our house, bathrobes really were not used very often ever. But she'd only ever seen a dad bod before. And these were not dad bods. No, these were Adonis. There they were bronze, they were glistening, and they were just roasting in the sun like hot dogs on a barbecue grill. And I thought, okay, my attitude to this is if you don't make a big deal about this, it's not going to be a big deal. So I focus on one place of the beach that is completely devoid of people, and it is a rocky outcropping, and there's nobody there. But to get there, you have to walk through the beach. So we are picking our way through the penises. Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. And I don't know where my stepdaughter's eyes were, but they must have been on stalks. I couldn't see my husband's eyes because he was wearing dark glasses, which was good because he was fuming. And I'm just marching merrily along, and at one point my husband just finally goes, I can't do this. I'm like, okay, all right. So we go, so we turn around, we're picking our way back through the penis. Excuse me, pardon me, you know. And we get back to the pool, and my husband is absolutely beside himself that he's just taken his 11-year-old daughter to a nude beach full of lovely, lovely men. And I am just relieved because the beds were still empty. It could have been so much worse. It could have been. But if we're talking about beds, so now I'm doing this survey, right, to see, test drive whether or not Americans are really have a thing about this. So, by show of hands, because I'm curious, how many people here sleep naked? Really?
No.
You don't? Really? That's a shame. Well, I'm picturing you naked anyway, and I know you've been a lovely member of the audience. So what do you all wear to bed then? I mean, does anybody wear lingerie anymore? Or is it like all feety pajamas and like adult onesies now? Shorts and t-shirt. So fully dressed then, really, yeah. Anybody into socks?
No.
Anybody wear socks to bed? No?
In winter. No.
A surprising number of people do. I think it's because feet are generally ugly. And my dog loves, and they're also a bit stinky. And my husband is not a sock wearer. Well, he's not aware of anything at all. But when he does, he sticks his feet out the end of the bed. And my dog is just so enamored by this. There's something about the aroma of his feet, and she gets so excited. And she then literally she'll lick his feet and hump. And she's female. So yeah, it's a weird fetish. I have a dog with a foot fetish. But does anybody wear hats? I know, it was news to me, but I've asked this question before, and people do. I met one person who said she went full on Jayne Austen, flowing gown with an actual nightcap, not the kind of nightcap that I prefer, but a nightcap. And then somebody else I'd asked, and he likes to wear a beanie to bed, which I just think must be the sexiest thing ever. So, well, you have all been lovely, if not very enlightening in the bedroom department. And I thank you very much. And just so you know, I have no intention of taking this off. One, it is too cold. And two, if you want to see me naked, you've got to pay. And if you want me to move, you've got to pay a whole lot more.